of fear. It is not a freak accident of nature. This is intended. It is not unstoppable because we can stop it, but only if we are honest about what's happening. This is not a time to bury our heads in the sand. It's not a time to cower in fear. It's not a time to focus on the few things that we disagree about. It's time to talk about what's happening, to come together and say that saving our city and saving our democracy is more important than a couple of things that we can argue about tomorrow, because today we have got to save democracy in DC. Yes, I was late this morning because after getting a text about ICE agents swarming around in LA, I show up to see the assistant principal outside, teachers on the corner, and scared-looking parents dropping off their kids. I got a text yesterday from a teacher who asked me if it was normal that a father was being detained and his car was being taken as he was taking his daughter to school. A mother of a little brown girl told me earlier this week that on their way to a soccer game, her little brown girl had to ask Mom, why are these soldiers with guns standing outside the game? And I am raising two little black girls who know what is for them and what is not for them. They don't see these military units, they don't see these officers here to protect them because they are not here to protect them. They are here to catch them, to condemn them, to take away their rights that their forefathers and foremothers fought so hard for. They're here to push back democracy. They're here to tell them that they are less than so that other people can feel like they are more than. They are here to take our city, not to support safety, but to go against home rule. That is not the world and the reality that I'm going to leave my little girls or any of these children to. None of us thought that we would see a time like this, but this is the time that we are in. And at some point, the history will be written, and we're going to have to look at these children and say where we were on the side of that fight. We will have to justify what we did and did not do. So I'm not prepared to say that I capitulated. I'm not prepared to say that I cowered. I'm not prepared. I led the best way that I knew how. That I encourage our council and our Congress and our mayor and our attorney general to stand together, but not in fear, not in compliance, but against an authoritarian takeover of our city and our country. So we need our DC elected officials to stand united right now. But united is not united in fear and compliance. It is united against this travesty of democracy. The president has said he is doing this in Maryland, in New York, in California, now in Louisiana. So democracy will be stripped away everywhere, not just in DC. We just happen to be ground zero. That is why we must stop it now. That is why Congress must stand up now. Other than give us our damn money back is this. As Democrats have decided that we are going to stop bringing a pen and paper to a gunfight, and we've started to fight hard on the front lines, and these redistricting battles started in Texas, but it won't end there. This is a time, if ever there was, for DC statehood. That's right. We need senators and a voting member of Congress who is ready to protect our democracy and our city. In dozens of meetings over the confused about where DC stands because of statements coming from the mayor's office. So I want to make it clear to them right now, we don't want this. Can we tell Congress we don't want this? We don't want this. One more time so they hear you. We don't want this. We don't want this. Thank you, DC.
Thank you, council members. As you heard, our members of our DC Council, they are accountable to the people here. Unlike this administration, unlike Congress, our elected leaders who represent us know what DC communities need, and they are accountable and responsible for that. And we thank you for your leadership, each of you. Thank you. We also know that DC residents are not the only people in this story. There are people here right now who serve in the National Guard, who have jobs and families in their home states, but who have been sent on a fool's errand by this president to instill terror in our communities at the cost of their home communities, of their home states. Right. And to talk about that, I'm pleased to welcome Ariel McIntosh from About Face Veterans Against the War.
That's a tough act to follow, but I'll try. Good morning. Again, my name is Josh. I am a U.S. Navy veteran, a member of About Face Veterans Against the War, and a proud Baltimorean. I'd like to first address the National Guard members currently deployed on the streets of Washington, D.C. Like many of you, I joined the military as a teen from a working-class family, seeking stability and opportunity. I joined the military to serve my community and my country. I joined for a sense of purpose. But throughout my service, I found myself questioning the reasons behind the orders I was being given. Orders that didn't match my values or the force for good the Navy claimed to be. Orders that didn't seem to make any sense at all. I remember feeling so alone, so powerless, like I was a bad American for having doubts. It wasn't until I found About Face Veterans Against the War that I learned there is a whole community of veterans ready to support military service members questioning their mission. A community that knows exactly what it is like to be asked to compromise their own humanity for that mission. To the soldiers and airmen deployed on DC streets today, a community of veterans and active military standing alongside you, prepared to support you. You have rights, you have options, and you have a duty to stand up for what you know is right. You do not have to stand in silence while Trump orders you to police our most vulnerable communities. I know that this is not what you signed up to do. Let your humanity and your conscience guide you to what you know to be true, and know that we have your back. Now, to Congress. As veterans, we know firsthand the trauma and violence that comes with increased military presence in communities abroad and at home. We know that these National Guard mobilizations are not about protecting our cities, as Trump and other top military officials have claimed, but rather an attempt to instill fear in our neighbors and normalize a militarized authoritarian state. It is to put troops on our streets as a policing force, work they did not expect or train to do. Congress, you have the power and the duty to stop this military invasion of DC. Soldiers that signed up for the National Guard expecting to help their communities through natural disasters are being ordered to work alongside DHS and ICE, work they did not sign up for, with organizations that terrorize their own communities back at home, just as they do here in DC. They face retaliation for doing the right thing, or a lifetime of moral injury if they engage in the inevitable violence that comes with armed soldiers patrolling our streets. Congress must intervene before it's too late. We've heard members of the National Guard lament, "I have no choice. This is what Trump ordered. It's out of our control." Members of Congress, they are not alone in their concern. As veterans, we call upon you to stand up in defense of our cities, our National Guard members, and the integrity of the country that you also volunteered to serve. Use the power bestowed upon you by the American people to do your job. Refuse to allow this unchecked military aggression and send these troops home now.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariel. Free DC is not just here today to deliver these messages to the press and to our allies who are watching. We're here to deliver these messages directly to Congress. Our Free DC community is going to now make hundreds of office visits today to deliver letters and to deliver our demands directly to Congress. We're proud to do that in partnership with one of our members of our congressional delegation who does not have voting power in Congress, but who's been a wonderful advocate and ally in our fight to track the multiple dozens of attacks that this Congress has been levying against the District of Columbia. To talk a little bit about what we are asking for today as we visit members of Congress, I'm proud to introduce Shadow Senator Ankit Jain.
Thank you to Alex and everyone who's here today, and especially thank you to our council members for fighting for DC. So I want to talk about why we're here today and what we're going to be doing on Capitol Hill. This is the next phase in the national GOP's attack on Washington, D.C. Because it was never about crime. It was always about power and control and using D.C. as a testing ground for their far-right agenda across the country. And so they started with controlling enforcement of our laws. They're trying to make it so the president decides how our laws get enforced, what gets enforced in Washington, D.C. Our laws entirely. You all know that the Republicans are going to be running through the House Oversight Committee in the coming days to weeks. And I want to make it abundantly clear here today, as Councilmember White did as well, every single elected official in Washington, D.C. opposes these anti-DC bills. I just want to say it again, just so we're 100% clear. Every single elected official in Washington, D.C. opposes these anti-DC congressional bills. Yes. So what we're asking for today is for all of Congress, but especially congressional Democrats, to vote down every single one of these anti-DC bills. And not just out of charity for the people of D.C., but as a necessary act of protection for their own constituents. Because this is not stopping in Washington, D.C. If he succeeds in remaking D.C. in the president's image, they are coming for Chicago next. They're coming for Phoenix. They're coming for Detroit. They're coming for Philadelphia. They're coming for New York City. And so we need to stop them here before they can go on and remake this agenda in the rest of the country. And I just want to mention a few of these. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Congress right now, but I just want to mention a few of them right now. So there is a bill that would unelect our elected attorney general and make that Trump's puppet. And so we say no to that bill. Has to wait 30 legislative days to go into effect, unless it is emergency legislation. If they remove the council's ability to pass emergency legislation, we will not be able to govern the city. It's really that simple. You can imagine there's some sort of new crime spree happening, and we have to wait 35, 40 days for Congress to will never stop happening. We will never be free from these attacks until Washington, D.C. becomes the 51st state in this country. Because the only reason this can happen to us is because we're not a state and because we don't have the same rights that So what we're seeing here is the first step in an attempt to end home rule. You know, first they're going to unelect our attorney general, then they're going to across the country, is that for any of these bills to pass, they have to surmount a filibuster in the Senate, which means that they need 60 votes from the U.S. senators, and there's only 53 Republican senators. So what I don't want to hear is a month from now, these bills have passed, and people are saying, the members of Congress are saying, well, Republicans did this to us. If these
All of our speakers who joined us here today, Congresswoman Pressley, Congressman Ivey, our DC Council members, Ariel and Senator Jane. The speakers who are up here today can be available now for some questions, but we'll end our formal program.
I haven't seen anything about what the first part of your question. The second part, I think that we've all said pretty clearly what we believe and what we think is the right direction for the district, and we are all accountable to the voters of the district. But we have said, I think, pretty much across the board, this is unwelcome, this is unnecessary, unwarranted, and we do not welcome it.
That's right.
But to answer my question, do you specifically support how the mayor has navigated this takeover?
I think that I'm not going to speak for my colleagues. I think that two things can be true at the same time. We can recognize that any mayor is going to be in a very difficult and unique position here in the district without statehood and without full representation. And I think you've also heard us say pretty loud and clear that we do not welcome.
We need to be strong and we need to be united. This government needs to stand together, and that includes with our mayor. Home rule in the district is what we are fighting. That is all of our North Star. That is one thing that has been clear. The mayor has unequivocally said home rule is her North Star. It is my colleague's North Star. We are trying and working our hardest to keep autonomy and to keep home rule, and we cannot do that divided. So while we may not have the same strategic ways to handle a situation, we are united in our aim and our goal of protecting the district and our autonomy and our residents. Thank you.
I've met with several Republican presidents as they're going to believe, but I believe there's still some Republicans who believe we shouldn't be taking money from national defense to put a guard in D.C. There are Republicans still who don't believe in a big federal government, so they should not like this increased presence in Washington, D.C. And there are some who just believe in the basic dignity of law and won't support. So I don't realistically suspect we will have a lot of Republicans, but I think there are still a few true Republicans left that will support us.
Thank you. Last question, Gary.
Not all of us were at that meeting, but for those of us that were, it was a really great meeting. We appreciate Leader Jeffries taking the time. It was a really great conversation. He committed that he is going to help whip votes to support D.C., to push back on this, and he was going to be reaching out to his Senate colleagues. But we're not just relying on that. The council, the district across the board is also reaching out to senators to help carry that message forward. And as you heard, Free D.C. is making hundreds of visits today alone. So we're not going to leave any stone unturned, and we're